So this video is going to show you the process of completing a job in WorkflowMax, all the way from the quote through to the final invoice. So the idea is to give you a general overview of how WorkflowMax works and a bit of a look into the user interface to see if it's something that you quite like. Right, so the first thing to point out would be that there's many different ways to complete jobs in WorkflowMax, and that's really part of the discovery and the scope that we do with you, is to understand what your business process looks like so we can map it into a process within WorkflowMax. So what I'm going to show you here is one example of how we can use WorkflowMax, but do bear in mind that this is not exactly how it's probably going to work for your organization. Once we've done the scope and the discovery and we know how we're going to set it up for you, the process will change, if not slightly, quite significantly. But at least you get a general idea how WorkflowMax works. Great, so under this example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with creating a job and then creating a quote within the job, but you do have the option of just creating a quote and not creating the job first. So what I'm going to do is take you into the job manager, and in the job manager, this is where you can see all of the open jobs that you have at the moment. So what you can see is they've also got job states. So job states is something that we put a lot of thought and attention to. What we want to do is create a process where you move your jobs through these stages. So you can look at your job manager and see at a quick snapshot where all your jobs are sitting. So what I'm going to do is create a new job by clicking up on the top left-hand side here. Now you can add a new client by clicking this link or selecting one from your list. So I'm going to choose A&J Green. Now you can select the job template, and templates I find are really powerful in WorkflowMax because what you can do with these job templates is create a default set of tasks that are applied against the job, and within those tasks you can actually create to-do items, and that's really powerful for your job process, because with those to-do items you can create this process where your staff tick them off as they do these milestones essentially. And I find that that's really powerful for a number of reasons. One is because if your staff are following this process, you know that they're not going to miss things, and they're also not thinking, what is the next thing I need to do? So you're going to speed up your service delivery, and also you're going to improve your service delivery, because if you're noticing that something's being missed all the time, or there's a problem in your delivery, you can go create a new to-do item within this template, so you know that that's not going to be missed in future. For example, you might find that you're always forgetting, or your staff, whenever they set jobs up, they're always forgetting to put the staff's phone number in against the client record, and then you're always trying to chase up that phone number through your emails. Well, we can put an actual to-do item within the job template to make sure that every time a job's created, they check that there's that phone number in there. So what I'll do is I'll choose a job template from our list here and give the job a name. So the job name is just a way to identify that job from the other one. So a really common one is if you're doing something like any engineering work or building work or anything like that, any site work, putting the address. But of course, depending on your industry or your organization, you want to choose a name that it's just an easy way to identify that job. So let's just go 45 High Street. You can put a description of the job if you like. Choose the job state, so generally it just defaults to your first one there. Job categories, again, we're going to do a bit of investigation into your business as to how we want to set these job categories up. They're really powerful for reporting. And then what we've got here is I've put some custom fields in for you to see as well. So what we can do is set up a number of custom fields that are specific to your organization, and that's really powerful for being able to put information in there and being able to pull it out for reports. So just for an example, you might want to have what coffee the client likes. We can run a report on all the clients, so your client and what coffees they like, so when they come in you can have that coffee ready for them. That's just one example, but obviously there's probably a lot more practical reasons you could use these custom fields. Right, so then we want to schedule the job, so let's give it a couple of months, so we'll finish this one on the 31st of May. Schedule your team that are going to be working on the job, and then hit save. And you can also assign account managers as well, so you can have different sort of people who sort of manage that job. And that's really powerful for reporting and also for notifications. So you might want to send notifications to the account or the job managers once you reach a certain stage of your timesheets on a task. Right, so now we've got the job all set up, ready to go. We've got one task down the bottom here, and that was from our template. So what we can see, and this is the job to-do items I was talking about. So the job has been created in WorkflowMax, and then customer's phone number has been saved against the client records. Well, I didn't actually check that, so let's go have a look. So if we click into A&J Green, I'm going to bring up a new tab here. Right, and we're going to look at the contact details, and we can see that we've actually got no contact details against them. So what we want to do is go add contact details. The phone number, let's go 04555555, and the email address, we'll just put mine in for now. Right, so what we've done is we've created that to-do item to make sure that we don't actually miss out on capturing those clients' details in future. So as you can see, it's really, really powerful to be able to get all those, to put processes in place so things don't get missed, which slow down your service delivery. Right, so now we want to raise a quote within WorkflowMax. So what I'm going to do is go to the Financial tab, and we're going to raise a quote. Now it's important to note here that you don't always have to raise your quotes in WorkflowMax. The WorkflowMax quotes are great for sort of like a one-pager, or we can even put terms and conditions on these quotes. But often you'll find that a lot of organizations send quite complex proposals, which has got a huge amount of terms and conditions and different options and all that sort of thing. What we want to do is send your proposals how you are at the moment, so you still be doing those out of Word, but we still want to capture the quote against WorkflowMax into WorkflowMax, and that's because that sets our billing parameters. So if we go new task, what we're going to do is set up a couple of tasks here. We're going to keep things nice and simple and put in 2 tasks. One is going to be preliminary design. We'll do 50 hours. Save that, and then I'll do develop design as well. We'll do 100 hours here. And what's happening is in these tasks we can actually get it to pre-populate a description against the tasks, but I'm just going to take those out for now. Excellent. So what we've got is our 3 tasks here. Now what I'm going to do is untick this admin one here because we actually don't want to show this one on the quote. It's a task that's associated with a job, but we're not actually going to be billing part of that task. But we still want to put time there because that's going to be a cost on the job. Right, so when we create a quote, we've actually got 2 options. We can do the pricing mode as a calculator price, and what that has done is taken the 50 hours that we've allocated and it's multiplied it out by our billable rate, which gives us 9,000. And it's also looked at the base rate, so what it cost us to have that staff member, or it cost us to do that task, so it's 4,000. So what we do have the option of doing is choosing fixed price, and we can override these amounts here for the cost. Sorry, not the cost, the billable amount. So for preliminary design, we're going to make that 10,000, and for our develop design, we'll make it 20,000. So what's going to happen is our staff are going to be tracking to this 50 and 100 hours respectively through these 2 tasks. Although based on their charge out rates that says to 9 and 18 grand, we're going to be billing 10 and 20. So what we're doing there is leaving a little bit of wiggle room in there in case they do go over on these times. Right, so you can see we've got a bit of a summary there that the job is going to cost us approximately 12,000 and we're billing 30 grand. So we can see our margin is going to be about 60% on the job, or $18,000 margin. Right, so we're going to go issue and print. And what we can do is design your quote and your invoice templates up to look really, really nice, be really consistent with your branding. But again, I just want to reiterate that we don't have to use the quotes out of WorkflowMax. We can continue to quote the way you are at the moment, but it depends on what workflows we decide to develop for your business when we put WorkflowMax in. Right, so there's our quote. Very, very simple, this one here. So let's go back to the quote, and we're going to accept this. When we accept this quote, it's going to apply those financial parameters to the job. So we're just going to go accept. Excellent. So now what you'll see is because we've quoted those tasks, it's actually created tasks down here for us to put time to with our 50 and 100 hour budgets. So we can go back to here and say, look, the quote's been raised and it's been accepted. Now we want to email the client thanking them for the acceptance of the quote. And now we want to send a deposit invoice. Right, so let's go do that now. I'll tick it off, but we'll go do it. Go to the financial tab, and we're going to go to new progress invoice. And there's a lot of different ways we can bill in WorkflowMax. Now I'm just going to show you one way. What we're going to do is we're just going to send let's make it a 20% deposit invoice. So we can tick that option there. But we can invoice based on actual time and costs, so the actual time and materials you've put on the job, or we can build on the quoted, so it'll bring up those two quoted amounts and we can adjust those two quoted amounts, or we can just put a single line item in here. So it really does depend on how you do your billing, and that's what we want to do as part of our discovery throughout the project, is to develop your invoicing process that are going to work. So I've actually just changed my mind. We're going to do it on the quoted because I want to show you how this works. Right, so what it's done is it's brought up preliminary design and developed design, and it's got 10,000 and 20,000. So we don't want to bill the full amount, we just want to bill a deposit. So we're going to, well, let's actually bill 10% of each. So we're going to make that one 1,000 there, and we'll make this one 2,000 here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and approve and print. Choose our system default invoice, but obviously we want to be looking at designing some nice looking templates up for you. Here we go, and there are our there is our invoice there. So preliminary design 1,000, developed design 2,000, and so there's a $3,000 invoice that we're going to email off to our customer. So it goes straight from here. I will see invoice attached. If I can spell invoice. Cool, send the email. And what we can do is also have a bit of a default message to populate there, so you don't have to type something out every time. Right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take you back to the job now so you can see how that's impacted the financial information on the job. So this is a report that I always stress that it's really important to use all the time, is this job financial summary. So if we print this out, what it's going to show us is how the job is tracking. Now we can see that our estimated cost on the job has been 12,000, our quoted is 30,000, and we've invoiced 3,000 there. So at the moment we're making 100% profit because we actually haven't captured any time or cost against the job. So let's go do that now. So I want to put some time in here and we can see how this is going to evolve. So go back to the job, put some timesheets in. So I'll do a big day today and do 20 hours. Steve can do 15. And then Ruben can start working on the preliminary design and he can do 10 hours there. Now, what I'm doing here is while I'm doing my timesheets, I'm putting timesheets directly into the job, and this is an administrator's access because what I can do is select multiple staff. All of your staff won't be able to access all the different staff members within the job. Where they will be doing their timesheets is back here. If I go to the dashboard, and then they can enter the time here. So this is the better way of doing your timesheets, is just by going into here, and you can see on Tuesday I've done the 8 hours, and let's say on Tuesday the 8th I've done 20 hours. On Monday I'm going to go and do my timesheets for yesterday, and I can select the job that I'm working on. So choose the job, select the task. Let's set it at 8.5 hours. It'll default to 8:30, and then I can put notes against the work that I've done. So I did final drawings. So what I've done there is I've captured my timesheets in the actual timesheet manager. So this is where we do all our timesheets. So I'll go back to the job, and our job list here. We've got 2 of them there, don't worry about that. It's the 471 that we're working in. Right, so what I'm going to do is we're going to have a look at this job financial summary now and see how this has evolved. Excellent, so now that we've got some timesheets in here, you can actually see that we're actually starting to accumulate some costs against the job and what's billable against the job. So we've actually got 9,380 that's billable, or 2,000 on the prelim design, and we've got 7,300 on the develop design. So what we'll do now is we'll go look at raising some more of the invoice. Oh, sorry, jumping a few screens around. So we go jump into the financial tab, and I'm going to raise a new progress invoice. We're going to get actual quoted time and costs again. And what's really nice is it's because we've billed $1,000 and $2,000 off our quoted value, it's gone and reduced the amount that we still need to bill. So we're going to be billing down to 0. And that's what's really cool about WorkflowMax, the way the billing works, is it's going to look at reducing that for us. Now, what a lot of my clients like to do is to actually put a bit of a description on how they're tracking with the invoicing. So they put a little bit of a note against the job invoice here. The description on the invoice. Say something like bill to date, and they'll have a bit of a list out here by, so let's say 3,000 has been billed. This invoice we're going to bill, let's say, we'll go 7,000. And then still to invoice, we've got 20 to go. So we can either put those on the entire job like that, or what we can do is put them on a task level. But bear in mind, this is just one of the many ways we can invoice, and this is the way that you're going to get a huge amount of information. But I wouldn't get too hung up on the invoicing at this stage. We just want to have a look at, from general terms, how the invoicing looks, because we want to really drill down to how your business does its invoicing. Right, so better update this. So we're billing $7,000 on this invoice, so let's bill 2 here. Actually, we'll do 2 there and we'll do 5 up here because we've done more work on the preliminary design. Just like that, we'll go approve and print. Put the invoice, and it's got our little summary up the top here. What we've billed to date, this invoice is 7,000, and we've still got 20,000 to invoice. Gives us a bit of a breakdown on how we're billing each of these line items. And there's your invoice. So what we'll do now is we'll jump back in here, and I'm just going to refresh this financial summary that we're looking at before. And you can see now that we've got 9,000 that's billable. We're actually sitting at 10,000 for billable. So far we're looking like we're pretty much up to date with our billings. And at the moment we're tracking to a 48% profit, so we're looking pretty good. And that's based on the base rates of our staff that have been putting the time against the job. So obviously once the job's completed, our quoted is going to match our invoice, so that's going to say 30,000. All our timesheets would have been completed, and we'll be able to have an accurate visibility as to what profit we've made on that job and what margin that is. So at a quite a high level, that's WorkflowMax from start to finish. So that's from loading a job, quoting that job, and loading timesheets against the job, and also invoicing that job. Actually, before we quickly wind up, I just want to show you how to capture a cost or do a purchase order. So if we go and do a purchase order, you can select the supplier that you're ordering from. Let's just choose Bunnings. What we can do is we can tap into our cost database. So we can have a database of all the materials or the items that we use often, and we can type them in here. So for example, there we go, electrical tape. So as you can see, it's got a global search function. So I typed in APP and it brought up self-tapping. So quantity, and it's got the code there. The unit cost for us was $34.50. And the reason I've had to write this in is because it automatically didn't default, because it hasn't been set up there. But if we do have a default price in there, it'll bring that through. And that isn't going to be available to all your staff. You can lock that part of the system down. So I'll add this to our order. So what we're going to do is going to go issue and print, so we can send this out. If we actually want to send a physical purchase order, we can. Looks like that, so we can email that off. Nice and easy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back into the purchase order, and we're going to receipt this. So we can do a full receipt or partial receipt. So if we want to receipt a part of it, we choose that one, and it creates the rest of it pending. Now it's going to ask you to put in an invoice number. So once you receipt this, you would have got an invoice for the Electrical Supply Corp self-tapping. So let's say the invoice was 5644. You can update the cost if you like, and then you can go save. And what that does is that's going to send an invoice down to Xero for you. So any of our invoices that we've raised in WorkflowMax, or any purchase orders, that's going to create a replica of that invoice or that purchase down to Xero, so we can match it up against our reconciliations in our bank rec. Cool, so just quickly we're going to go have a look at our financial summary and see how that's impacted it. So you can see we've actually started to get some costs down here as well, so that's going to start changing our margin that we're making on the job. And we do have the option, when we go to bill that, that's going to pull that through as an optional extra to bill on top of what we've quoted there. Cool, so there's from start to finish how WorkflowMax works. Again, quite a high level overview, and that is just one of the many ways we can set up the process. But at least this gives you some sort of overview or some high level visibility into how WorkflowMax works. And if you'd like some more information about the process, we'd really keen to talk further with you.